Well, it's that time again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the interview with Craig Veltri.
Thank you, Megan Pennington, and welcome to the interview. Our returning champion
Oh,
comes back to the interview. Our returning champion comes back to the interview after a detailed discussion of her rise to the Texas music scene back in 2023. Immediately after her appearance on the interview, she released an album of covers called Americana Radio, reimagining many classics like Little Wing, Nutshell, and Black Hole Sun, the latter of which we will play at the end of this episode, with country and Americana instrumentation with that luscious but gritty voice. Through the
well,
intervening years, 2025 and beyond promises to be a huge one with the recent announcement of her signing a management deal with Bevel Music. So much to catch up on. So, recording in Charlotte, North Carolina, and calling in from Winona, Texas, here she is, Jenn Ford. Jenn, welcome to the interview.
hi, old friend. I love you.
I love you more, Jenn. So, we had talked about Americana Radio and we had played Gold Dust Woman on the show last time. The record is incredible. I think anybody who really just appreciates different reimaginings will really get a kick out of this record. Let's step back and maybe go over some old tracks about that record. How did the idea of just doing that full cover record come about?
Well, I would say that I got put into the country music category sort of by accident because I was working with Texas Country Music Association and I got an opportunity for a record deal with Texas Country Records. And I've always been sort of a crossover artist. And when I got placed with B&G Records, which was associated with Texas Country Records, BJ Mezek is the owner of that label and also a veteran. And he pretty much just said, Jen, do whatever you want. I know that you have a lot of different influences and have performed many different styles. And he was like, I just want to give you the support that you need. You have a lot more freedom. And I imagine that Linda would have given me a lot of freedom, but I felt compelled to honor, the Texas Country Records label as far as like that genre. It just clearly says. But B&G Records gave me a lot more leverage to kind of experiment, and I did that a lot through COVID. And then when Americana Radio was kind of being imagined and put together, I was like, you know what? I have so many different influences from childhood, so many different genres that I like and songwriters that I draw from. How can I put this together in a way that will help transition me to being a multi-genre artist and make sense and still pay homage to my fans of the country style? So, and also I kind of work with the ingredients that I have as far as instrumentation. At that time, I was heavily performing with my friend Jared Steele, and he is an acoustic, electric, and a steel artist.
Mm-hmm.
He just got his own steel guitar custom made for him, and we played probably 200 or 300 shows together on the road as acoustic duo. And I hadn't started playing guitar yet, but I was starting to pick it up. And I knew that that was my goal for the end of the year, was to be playing on stage in 2023. And that actually is when I started playing. And I just was trying to kind of connect all the dots with the release of that album, setting myself apart. Yellowstone was super popular. My dad loves Clint Eastwood. I love Ennio Morricone, which is the composer of all those really cool Western albums. And I just kind of had this vision that I was going to I just had a vision, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. This is an art piece. This is a themed piece. It's a full length album that I want it to make sense from beginning to end and create some buzz and some conversations as when people listen to it.
So, because you were a novice guitar player at the moment, does that say you were playing on the record with some of these covers?
No, actually, no. I do play most of those now. Because I always have really amazing lead players around me at all times. But the guys from actually Steel Records, which is not part of Jared Steele, it's just ironic that they both have that name. But Steel Records studios out of Grand Cane, Louisiana. That's Leif Shavely and Kyle Roop are the guys that actually laid down the tracks for that. They are multi-instrumentalists. They play every stringed instrument. And then I brought in a fiddle player. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's pretty well known in Louisiana scene, and she did a lot of the string tracks on there too.
Well, I think about Little Wing and Nutshell. I mentioned that in the read in particular as the standout tracks. And the more I think about those particular songs, what you revealed about those songs is how simple those songs really are and how open they are to stylistic interpretation. Was that what spoke to you about those songs in particular, or and why? And you mentioned the wide range as well. Focusing in on those two, was it the simplicity or was it the love of the song?
Yes, I think I wanted to create because they're so well known. Little Wings specifically is so well known as being a Jimi Hendrix track, and also Stevie Ray Vaughan loved that song, and everybody talks about their
Skid
interpretation of
Row
that.
also had a very underrated cover of it as well.
Yes, and so many people have covered it, but I don't know if many female artists have. And I thought there was a femininity to the lyrics, and
It's
also
very
just
gentle.
yes, it's gentle, and it actually I got the mix for it the day that I was headed to my grandmother's funeral, and I lost both of my grandmothers and my aunt in the last 5 years, my favorite aunt, and I mean it was really kind of emotional getting that, but and I think that it connected me in a way spiritually that was unified with Jimi Hendrix, even though he might have been on some kind of psychedelic trip when he was writing that song. There's a
He might
spirituality to
have.
it. Yeah, and angelic, there's a delicateness to it. Even though he has those ripping solos, there's still some very delicate and feminine pieces in the way he's talking about an angel. And that's just kind of how I envisioned all of these female influences in my life, is that they were very hardworking women in different ways. And it was a different time where they couldn't completely express themselves. And now I was just like, they're in heaven now, and they don't feel any pain. And um, these are some of the women that made me. I get emotional thinking about it because I listened to that
Understood.
track. I listened to that track when it first came out so many times in the car. My two sons were in the car with me, and they probably got sick of it, but we were on the way to my grandmother's funeral, and I just had it on repeat. And I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted to do. And then I created the video with it too, with some stock video that I got off these different applications that I use that, because I don't have $1 million budget for videos, but I do have a
Not
budget
yet,
where I can
anyway.
go and, yeah, not yet, but I am really creative and I have a degree in multimedia. So I just kind of went in there and pulled all these images before they even had all these AI generators that everybody uses now, and kind of pieced together, just an angelic portrayal of how that song felt to me when I got to hear the final part of it. And now I play it on stage. I just do the rhythm part, and I still have, it's kind of like we've melded the two of the Jimi Hendrix awesome solos, because my guys can nail it every time, but I'm playing the acoustic guitar in the background. And so there's a lot of dynamic to it when we do it live.
I totally relate to your loss. My grandmother passed away around the same time, and she was my hero. So I feel you on that, Jenn Ford, here on the Craig-Veltri interview, a service of Scarfire
Super
Media.
emotional.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
For
Sorry
more
about
on
that.
Not a problem. For more on Scarfire Media, visit our website, scarfireradio.net. Check out the store at bonfire.com, and just keep your eye out for Scarfire Media on whatever Facebook groups that we are invading with our advertising. Now, you mentioned videos, and Black Hole Sun will play the video at the end of the program. Why did you earmark that as a highlight, a single enough to give it its own video?
Because I wanted it to be creepy. um,
Well, I mean, Gold Dust Woman. I mean, the gold paint and just kind of the prowl of it. I said before, the Fleetwood Mac version slinks. Yours kind of prowls. So, just keeping up with themes of the record, I guess.
Yeah, it was. And also because, I've got some roots in heavy metal, and I really love rock and roll, and I love Chris Cornell. And so many people have done that song. But to put it to a video to where, like, you go out to a weird place, and if you've ever been somewhere that's just creepy, and you get sort of consumed by a looming spirit, I kind of felt like that's what we tried to do with the video, is just, and it actually was really creepy out there. We found bones of a huge
Where in Texas
animal.
was this recorded?
This was in Robeline, Louisiana, where, Louisiana. Louisiana's creepy in some of them swampy places. And my friend Josh.
Just the remoteness of some places, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Josh, he owns Surface Wave Studios out of Shreveport, but he took us out to this place that his wife's family owned, and it was an old ranch. And so they had all of these different buildings, an old farm. They had a chicken house, they had a barn, and they were all kind of, disheveled. And we just sort of went there kind of like in the daytime. You can be creeped out in the daytime. And I think Midsummer had kind of been an influence in that. If you've ever seen that movie from A24, how it's a complete horror film, but it's all in daylight. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, is like, I don't want to be here after dark because it's creepy during the day. So that's kind of what we were doing with it.
It's brilliant when it's creepy, but it's I think John Waters did some pretty cool stuff with that. Get Out was I certainly remember having some remembrance of some of the angles and some of the lighting. Was this a directed by Jenn Ford piece as well?
Yeah, we just kind of collaborated. Josh, he's super awesome. His last name escapes me right now, but I message him daily with funny jokes. But he owns Surface Wave Studios and works heavily with different real estate and also music videos. And he's a musician as well. And I kind of told him my vision. We worked out a storyline. We did the whole, like, it's a collaboration. I would say he just helped bring my vision to life. Yeah, I was the director as far as like what I wanted to accomplish, and he just put it all behind the camera because I can't always film myself. But Gold Dust Woman, I actually did myself. So,
obviously, that should be something that you have a passion for. You definitely have an eye for. Hopefully, you'll be doing a lot more of that in the future.
Yes, I hope so. Like, I can't. There's so many things I want to do, but there's only so much time in the day. So I'm wearing a lot of hats.
The life of being a Renaissance person is not for the faint of heart, and thank heaven for caffeinated beverages, right?
Hello, here's my John Wayne cup of caffeine right now.
Now that looks like a good cup of Joe. That's the worst John Wayne impression ever, by the way. I apologize. Well, back to the music. The big news for you this past month, you announced that you penned yourself a management deal with a firm out of Texas called Beville Music. I imagine it was, you seemed very excited about it in the release. They seem very excited to have you, as you should, have this relationship come together. And what do you hope to gain from this relationship?
So Chris Beville formerly owned the Neon Moon in Yantis, Texas. He still does the management there, but he's brought in a lot of national acts like Aaron Watson, Pat Green, folks like
Love
that.
Pat Green.
Them Dirty Roses. Like, he's dealt with a lot of artists bringing him into the venue when he owned the venue, but he became the tour manager for Whitey Morgan and the 78s.
Oh, wow.
And he was on tour with them the last 2 years. And Chris Beville is actually an artist as well. And I think his vision, I mean, we haven't talked extensively, but I think his vision was to kind of transition to sort of a management firm, tour management, booking management, and just taking all of the artists that he thinks that have marketability outside of this area to help them get into places that we don't readily have access to or know how to contact. And I think he's just trying to help develop the talent and get us in front of bigger audiences.
How wide of a net are we talking here? Just like into Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston? Or are we talking outside of Texas?
Outside of Texas. He sent out 500 messages earlier this week to venues in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and throughout Texas. He's got several connections. And the other artists that are on the roster, Chris Colston, you might have heard of him. He's been on tour before with Coetzel, and he does a lot of stuff festival wise, but he's from East Texas, from Lindale, which is right down the road. I've known him since he was in his early 20s before he got married. Another person on that roster, another band, is One Horse Town, and that's Cody Mahaffey is their lead singer. I've known Cody since I was 18 years old.
I think
I
you
was
talked
really good.
about him on the last interview as somebody to keep an eye out for in the scene.
Yeah, Cody actually, he is the music minister for Cross Brand Cowboy Church, which is one of the largest churches in this area. But he's an excellent just performer. He's really good at Ableton. He's just good at producing, like picking really good musicians and producing a really great show. And he's done that for his church for a long time. But he had aspirations as well to, put together a band. And he put together a band about 6 or 8 months after he was playing with me. He was my guitar teacher when I first started playing guitar for a few months, and then he came and played in the band with me for a little bit, and then he started his own band. So it just kind of seems serendipitous that I'm under the same the bracket with him. It's like a family. Meredith Crawford is another very influential and artist to watch from East Texas, and we all know each other. We've all worked together. We've all played together. We've had, dinner. We're friends. We respect and watch each other. And I think Chris Bevel actually picked out probably the best of the best to be on his roster. And I'm the last artist he added, and I'm grateful to be there. And I don't know. I think it's just we'd never actually crossed paths until I played at Neon Moon. And it was pretty soon after my first performance that he was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And he gave me the invitation. And I was just holding my breath, waiting for the right time. And he said, we're going to announce on this date. And I was like, okay. But he had to let it breathe. He had to get everything in place. I had to give him all the information and give him all the deliverables. And he released it at the right time. My goals that I've talked about with him is that, I've kind of been at a steady state and just maintaining with everything that's been going on in my family. I bought a house last year. And, I went through a divorce and I'm wrapping all of that up and refinanced the house, just getting everything kind of fixed. And all of those things take time and energy and it can disrupt your focus. And so I've just been like sort of on autopilot, like maintaining all my commitments, maintaining all of my shows and my different things that I
Treading
do.
water would be a good analogy for it.
Yeah. Treading water. Nobody's drowning. Everybody's maintaining. But the goal was for this year to focus on all of that and get everything wrapped up and under control while I started thinking about the next thing. And I've been writing a lot of lyrics and I've been piecing together.
I wanted to ask because you had picked up a guitar on that. Has you found that it's been easier because of everything that's been going on that you have mentioned, the refinancing, the divorce, everything else? Now that you have a guitar in your lap, have you found it easier to write about this kind of stuff?
Yeah, the lyrics and the melodies come separate from the guitar. I think what the guitar has done is taught me how to keep continuity as I introduce, because you have to have a roster of people that play for you if you're a working artist. Like you've got to have 3 or 4 guys on each instrument that you can count on because people got things going on. And I play so many shows. I'm playing nearly every weekend, 2 or 3 shows. And then additionally doing other things that I do in the community. Like I run a karaoke business a couple of days a week. And so I'm essentially performing 4 to 5 days a week, if you think about everything I'm doing. And so, learning the guitar actually helped me be a better band leader, and it's helping with songwriting. But also I just enjoy it. And I've always wanted to play since I was 7. My dad gave me a guitar and they never gave me lessons. They gave me lessons in piano and choir, and I played the oboe all through high school. So I have, I do understand music theory and how to read music, but that's not necessarily a skill you have to play guitar. It's just I
Or
know
playing rock and roll or country music either, for that matter.
Right. But it helps to know, to understand dynamics and rhythm and time signatures and all of that stuff. And Cody was telling me when I first started taking lessons, and I probably took 6 lessons from Cody and was just like, all right, I got it, like, but even then,
are you sure he
I
wasn't
started,
teaching you bass? But
well, Cody taught me how to use how to do hammer downs, how to utilize the capo if there was something that I couldn't play in that key at the time. Plus I had surgery last year. I didn't even realize that.
Heavens.
one of the obstacles of me playing guitar is I had the worst carpal tunnel syndrome in both hands and a trigger finger that I had no idea until I was going through all this pain management stuff. And
So that's where it came from, just hunting, or were you, because you weren't even playing guitar, and I get the tingles in my hands too sometimes, but thankfully I haven't had to go to the knife. So how did that happen?
Spent 11 years in the military, a lot of time on the computer. When I was in college as a journalist, writing 10,000 word essays, I also have a barber license and cut hair for several years. So, I mean, I didn't understand it either, but now it all makes sense. And I actually, my occupational therapist, like when I was going for recovery afterwards, he was like, dude, I've never seen anybody recover as fast as you. And I said, well, I'm playing my guitar. And he said, that determination, you're going to be out of here real quick. So I think it became much easier. It was a lot less painful. I had a lot more mobility. And I think that might have been the thing that kept me from playing so many years ago when I was interested in playing. I had guitars, but I pick it up and like, oh God, this hurts so bad. And it wasn't just, where you need the calluses. It was just the angles of where I was holding in. I had all of this nerve damage and I had all of these things going on that stem from just years of overuse doing other things. So now I can play the piano a little bit, I'm back sort of messing around with that some, but what I really think that I'm focusing on is just the performance. I'm always thinking about the big show, and I try to put musicians that specialize in their instrument around me. And so that gives me the levity to pick it up or put it back down and let them highlight. I know when to play, when not to play, but I don't suck. And that's what the guys are like, you're actually really good at this. I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, no, you actually are. And I'm like, I don't believe you, but I'm just going to keep going.
It's obvious to everybody listening if you weren't. And trust me, praise for musician is very hard to find. Mm-hmm. So with the 150 dates, and it's sounding like it's going to expand a lot more outside of your backyard. With all of that, work that you have done already locally, it obviously seems that you're driven and ready to have that wider reach of touring. How are you preparing for that transition?
Well, the good thing is my children are grown adults and fully financially capable of taking care of themselves. So I did a good job. My 22-year-old son and my 19-year-old son are on their own. They have working vehicles, insurance, and their own apartment and jobs that they do well at. And I think that has allowed me to be like, okay, now I can do what I want. So I told Chris when we were talking about everything and what my goals were, I was like, look, I can go anywhere. I can do anything. I can do acoustic, single, a duo. I can do a 4-piece band. I can do a 6-piece band. I said, wherever you can find a spot for me, the answer is yes, because I have several musicians that are in the same position that I am, retired military, or they just have the flexibility. Like my bass player, Jerry Wayne, he's retired Marines, and he's not connected or have anything timed down. The only reason he's in Texas is because he believes in the band. And so I've got him, and Scott Taylor plays with me. He's out of Killeen, and he played with me in the Army band 20 something years ago. He knew me when I was pregnant with my youngest son. And so we have that bond, that hunger for just, let's do it. Like, this is what we've been waiting for.
And is it still Jenn Ford and the Wide-Eyed Devils, or are you, or have you, so it is. Okay.
Yes. Scott has his own band down in the Fort Hood area. He's a Texas blues artist, but he can play anything, and he's played with me on and off for years. But he knows when he comes to the show and it's Jenn Ford and the Wide-Eyed Devils, he knows that he's part of the Wide-Eyed Devils. And I've got several people that have been inducted into that band of misfits, because that's what it is. I got a bunch of wild people in there, but they're all extremely talented. And I think every musician's a little bit crazy and impulsive, but that's what makes them great. And the good thing is like the people that I do have understand what my goals are. And I have a new 21-year-old guitar player named Cody. His name's Cody as well, Cody Lattice. And he's about to graduate college, but he's married. His wife's a nurse, and he's just phenomenal. And he's hungry. And he's just like, I'll go wherever you go. I'm off every Friday. And I'm like, Friday and Saturday. That's all I need. Like we can go a lot of places, get on a plane, whatever. There's a lot of places you can be by Saturday. Um, and so that's all I'm asking for is like I'll go anywhere if there's a stage and if the people will go with me.
So the focus is on performance right now. Is that to say that there won't be any new music within the next, say, 12 months from Jenn Ford and the Wine-Eyed Devils?
I think that there's stuff in the works. Going through a divorce and you've been through one. I've known you a long time. That has its challenges financially, and I'm getting at the end of that where I've had to like rearrange stuff and it actually is going great. Like I've been able to accomplish a lot and cleaning up a lot of stuff that I needed to take care of to get out of it. That kind of held me back from producing anything else last year because that was the plan. And then this fell into my lap and I was like, well, I've got to fix all of this. And so now that I'm staying pretty busy and I've got multiple streams of income coming in because I'm plugged in all these different entertainment aspects, I'm thinking that I'm going to be able to put something together next year for sure. And hopefully, I don't know, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but that's the plan. And it's going to be a new sound. It's going to be a different sound. I imagine we're probably going to go more towards the rock and roll sound. But I want to be billed as a multi-genre artist. I like Sturgill Simpson. I like Chris Stapleton. And I like the Allman Brothers, Tina Turner, and they're all multi-genre artists. And that's where I want to be. I want to be able to.
As you know, I've always kind of held a similar standard to my own music, but going more rock and roll, is that just the vibe that you're chasing, or is that just what the lyric and the melody, something more aggressive, a little as a way of perhaps coping with everything that's gone on in the last year?
I think that it's just, I've always been rock and roll. I've always had a little bit of edge to me, a little bit of something you can put your teeth on. I want something that people can sink their teeth into and that's kind of a kick in the gut too in some of the more vulnerable places. But something with edge, something with substance, typically, and I don't want to
back
single
to your
out.
roots, basically.
Yeah, back to my roots. Because I think that is probably a more authentic representation of me. I've cut my hair off to kind of like, hey, no more of the housewife situation. I've had long hair, short hair, whatever, but I had that longer hair kind of to express more femininity, and I'm still very feminine. I wear makeup and all that stuff, but just it's hot and sweaty, and I don't want to be fussy anymore. I don't want to be fussing about, I want to just be in the music. I want to be right in the middle of it. I want to just feel the energy coming off of
It's
it.
a utilitarian thing almost.
Yes. I don't want to get guitar. I don't want it to get caught in my guitar strap when I'm changing over from acoustic to electric. It's a whole lot easier and I can flip my hair around and not look like a sweaty hot mess when I get done.
I'm getting to understand the plight of that for sure. But
yeah. And I'm in Texas, and it doesn't stay looking good when you're in Texas with long hair. It's hot. It gets in the way.
Try singing outdoors in 90-degree, 100% humidity next to the beach. At least you get the breeze a little bit, but it's no solace. And Rosanna, Dana, we have a nice way of closing here on the Craig-Veltri interview, Jenn. It's called the No Kidding Questionnaire. As you recall, it's a couple of rapid fire questions, same as before. Whenever you're ready, and off we go. Childhood celebrity crush.
Ooh. And celebrity crush. Robert Redford.
The recently deceased and the great. Favorite movie?
The Secret of Nim. Oh no, Blues Brothers.
From Robert Redford. But
from Robert Redford.
But I do love the Blues Brothers, and Nim is the best, one of the best animated films, top 3 for sure. But Robert Redford.
Brubaker.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's about prison. I think he's like a warden of a prison. It's an older movie.
Lions for Lambs is an underrated one of mine, though. Of course, Bush and Sundance is a classic, one of the best movies ever made. So, What a loss. Seemed like such a gentleman. What was it about him on the screen that captured whatever it was?
He was good looking. Like he had a way that he talked to people that was very handsome to me. He was handsome.
Yeah. I think my mom would have similar notes for sure. She had a poster of Butch and Sundance on the wall when she was a kid. Uh, Favorite subject in school?
English.
Okay. Literature or sentence structure, grammar?
Um, I liked writing.
Is there a piece from back then that you might have used recently in your current career?
No, but I do have like some old collections that I was in gifted and talent honors writing when I was in all through school. And one of my teachers named Miss Moore published some of our stuff, and I have them in the house where um, I look back at it and I'm like, man, I was really good at that. Uh, I was good at that then. I didn't realize that it still hits now. So yeah, but I
Uh,
haven't used any of that. No, probably should. Maybe I should. Maybe I should.
I look back at my stuff back when I was a kid. Talk about a young man with a lot of anger and not a lot of wisdom. So I'm gonna find wherever I left my stuff and burn it next time I see it. But uh, what occupation other than your own would you like to attempt?
Sound engineering.
Okay, um, just expertise that you picked up on the road, or is that
No,
just
I would be interested in being a producer, actually being in the studio if I had more time. And I do have some more education benefits from the military, and I've thought about actually going back to school. I've been to college so many times that it wouldn't, just let's just add that to the tally. I like learning new stuff. So that may be something I actually consider doing just to have more knowledge. And I think that you should always keep adding stuff to your belt, to your toolbox, or however you want to say it. The more you know, the better you get.
yeah, more badges if you play video games or if you were a
Yeah.
Boy Scout like I was. So I mean not all I mean a lot of those a lot of colleges like Full Sail and I think Belmont also offers and out of Nashville offers some online courses. So worth looking into. I've thought about it myself as well. So on the other side of the coin, Jen, I don't care how many bags of money have been handed to you. What job, under no circumstances, would you never want to do? And it can be something that you've done before.
Um, well, I went to nursing school for 3 years when I first got out of the military, and I spent about 3 months in clinicals when we first started the bachelor's program towards the tail end, and I knew immediately that that was not something I was cut out for. My sister is a nurse, my brother is an occupational therapist, my mother is a nurse, and my little brother was a combat medic. And I was the first one to go to nursing school and quickly realized it wasn't for me. But it's for everybody else. I love people, but I don't like cutting toenails.
Ah, so
Not feeling it.
it was the bodily fluids portion of it. So
I have a very weak stomach, and I should have known better because I could barely change diapers, but I did it.
hmm.
So yeah, absolutely, under no circumstance will I work in the medical field.
As the
No, thank
grandson
you.
of a nurse, I appreciate that you even tried. So uh what is your we talked last time, we got some really cool answers about tacos in Texas, but what is your go-to food on a road trip these days?
Um, Still tacos.
Hmm.
I could eat tacos every day of the week. I actually had tacos yesterday. Yesterday was National Taco Day in the United States. Every Tuesday, the first or second Tuesday in October, it's National Taco Day. I had tacos yesterday. Probably have tacos
I
today too.
well, we're recording this on a Wednesday. I actually didn't realize that, and I was a day early in making tacos myself. So just some diced chicken seasoning, quite good. What? So where in Texas? I mean, the proximity to Mexico, the Tex-Mex style of food. I recall you had a couple of great suggestions. Where to in your neck of the woods? Because you have moved in the last interim that we've done. Where in your neck of the woods do you get tacos?
There's several places, but I would say, oh man, Edgar's Big Taco in Kilgore, Texas. I moved to Winona, which is still centrally located to all the other places that I lived in Kilgore, Tyler, Longview. I've lived all those places, but now I'm in Winona, which is sort of 30 minutes from everywhere.
It's like being
Edgar,
in Manhattan and then moving to Brooklyn, basically.
yeah, yeah, except I'm out in the country on 1.5 acres in the woods where nobody can find me. And where I can go outside and yodel and no one will respond. If they do, go back in the house.
Yeah. Why am I seeing Akeem played by Eddie Murphy and Coming to America? To be
Yes.
here.
Yes.
So, well,
Edgar's Big Taco and that's in Kilgore. Ruby's is all over Tyler, Texas, and their menu is amazing and it's authentic and it's good and it's not too expensive. They have strawberry limeades. They're so good. Their birria tacos are good. Like they've got some great food. If you haven't had a birria taco and you're not from Texas, you need to find one when you get here. You can find tacos anywhere in Texas. I hate leaving Texas sometimes because there's no reliable Mexican food, and everyone in Texas loves Mexican food, and it's never going to be any better than Texas. Sorry.
I came up with I've in relationships that I've had, I've always said, who has ever disagreed on Mexican food? So it's more wide ranging. And my experience in Texas is a little limited, shall we say? But
I got a room if you want to come stay now. We have a guest room for musicians, so
well,
you come back through. You got a place to stay.
Well, I've begun booking duos, solos, and bands, so we'll talk more later for sure. Moving on with the questionnaire: if you could have dinner, possibly over Mexican, with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Who? Probably Brandon from Red Clay Strays.
I'm not familiar with Brandon or the Red Clay Strays.
Oh, if you have not started listening to them, you need to get on the train. They're phenomenal. He is the lead singer, and they've been really breaking out as national artists. They were at Americana Fest this year. They've been playing a lot of stuff in Austin. He's the embodiment of Elvis, Johnny Cash, just that energy that we've been missing in the music scene, and the stuff that he sings about isn't really related to alcohol or anything or drugs. It's just like good music. It's uplifting music. If you haven't listened to him, you need to, because they are amazing, and I've seen them a couple times, and every time it's just
well, I'm currently looking at some of the way they're staging their album covers and just the font stuff they're using. I can already tell this is going to be throwback, and I'm really going to enjoy the hour drive that I'm going to be taking after we get off this interview. So, thanks. I appreciate events. I'll let you know if I like them. Well, on the other side of the coin of things that you like, Jenn Ford. Let's brace ourselves, folks. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Saying you're going to do something and not doing it.
My favorite. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What do you chalk that up to? I mean, in your case, I'm sure it's if that happens, it's emergency. But what do you chalk that up to in people that do that?
Emergencies, that's understandable. But when you make a commitment to do something and then you flake out on it, that expectation is already there, and that disappointment comes. It's more about business decisions. It's more about that gets on my nerves. When people say, yeah, I'm going to be there, and then they're not there, and you needed them there, and they don't give you a reason or explanation, or they do it multiple times. I think that's when they show you what you mean to them. So
what I'm about to say is going to cost me. This is why I don't tell people about my shows, really, because more often than not, it's like, oh, I'll be there. They don't show up, so why bother? So
it's less about shows. I don't get as worked up about shows because I know life happens. People got kids, and it's more
I've given that grace lately too. So, But
Yeah, it's hard. It's the economy right now is kind of crazy, and people are people are holding on to their money. Not as many people are going out to live shows, and I think they're generally starting to come out, but COVID really like chopped everything in half. People are spending way too much time on their phones, and I've been really making a conscious effort to spend less time on my phone so I can be in the moment and I can be present. But I think it's gonna take years for people to get back into just living life and being present. And so it's affected the music industry a lot.
well, I tend to believe that a lot of things economically tend to be cyclical. So I do think I see it turning around depending on
Upswing.
what city you're talking in. Some people, in the music hubs, it's oversaturation and burnout with the audiences. But outside of that, I'm actually been finding that people in just cities without an industry, without the music industry around it, there tends to be an uptick. Perhaps you're seeing the same thing, like away from being away from Dallas and even Austin.
Yeah, and I would say like I play all the major venues in this area and kind of on a rotation. And I think that's what's going to help me is getting out of here a little bit because people want to see different acts and I'm bringing something new. A lot of people are acquainted with me here and they enjoy coming to the show, but it needs to be fresh every time. And so I think what every artist needs to strive to do is if they're going to grow is they got to go to different people and create new fans. They got to get out of here,
It's
create new relationships.
People think that you're gonna make your built living online, and a lot of people have been able to do that. But enough people I've been talking to on the inside of things have been telling me the formula that used to work still works. Get on the road, do gigs, and that's what you're doing. That's what I hope to be doing for sure. Speaking of advice, last question of the questionnaire: what is the best advice that anyone has ever given you?
I don't know if I could really put it to a person directly, but a lesson that I've learned is that you will never, no one will ever work harder than you at the things you want to do.
Hmm.
No one will ever put more energy into what you love than you. So you can't sit around. I've given this advice to my sons as they're turning into young men. My oldest son is a boxer. My youngest son went to school to play football. They both were football players in high school, very good, went to D1 schools for at least a year, but they decided that wasn't for them. But I said, I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter what you do, but you need to understand that no one's going to hand you success. You have to commit to that. And so I think part of the issues with a lot of artists is they're waiting for their big break. You can't wait for your big break. You have to just go grab it. And everything that you go out and accomplish is another brick in that pyramid of success that you're trying to build. You have to build your own success. You have to decide what that is for you. And then you just have to commit to getting up every single day and learning something new and working towards that goal. Because if you lay in there and feel sorry for yourself, nothing's going to change.
Every day I wake up and make a choice, Jen, between happiness and misery. And sometimes I hit the mark on happiness, but I usually don't fall. I don't, if I get miserable, I usually don't stay too long. And further, that's great advice to your son. I've often heard it as it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to tell you what we're doing right here in our lifetime is not an attainable goal. Well, uh, look at us now. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say how old I am anymore because I'm getting older and
and
older in a
nobody would
psycho way.
believe you, first of all. So,
Well, good. It's my Korean skincare. I don't have any endorsements. I just get online and buy
maybe
what all
there's
the
something to that baby blood theory, but
no baby blood over here. Just no drinking, no smoking. Hydrate, drink lots of water, do your collagen treatments with the little Korean face mask and moisturize. Let's put on
well,
sunscreen.
well,
Put on
well,
lots of sunscreen.
I just asked this to the audience. Doesn't divorce look great on both of us?
I
But anyway,
know, right? Exactly. I remember you before you got married. You remember me before I got married. That's 10 years almost,
My
8 or 9
goodness.
years.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's how long ago that was.
Yeah. Well, and and if it's none of my business, it's none of my business. But we've obviously we moved past it. Obviously, we've written about it, and clearly you're in a happier spot about it. Nobody divorces because they're happy. So
Well, I would say, everything's still amicable, but I think when you get to the point where we were almost at 10 years of being together, and there was a realization that all this time, a lot of people associated my success with my partner,
mm,
and because he's male, and that's what, nobody thinks that a woman can make it on her own. But truthfully, I accomplished a lot. I went to I went to college, got my bachelor's degree. I started two businesses. I actually was teaching at school. I was working in different programs. I was doing all this stuff, and put out over 27 songs since 2018. And I did all of this. He didn't write any of those songs. He didn't play any of the instruments. He didn't give me any of the money. He didn't he I would say he was supportive, but what I realized is that he was claiming to be a teammate, but he was really just in the stands like a Cowboys fan, just rooting for the team and coming to the game and telling everybody, yeah, he was sort of reaping the benefits, but he wasn't in it with me. And it had less to do with my career and more to do with our personal life, that I felt like I was doing a lot of managing of the family and cleaning up messes, and I kept asking for help, and it just seemed like I was being leaned on for everything, and
yeah.
I was kind of being suffocated by I couldn't thrive where I needed to thrive, and that was in my music, and I felt like that my music was suffering, and a lot of other things were coming at expense, and I said I can't do this another 10 years. And I just woke up one day. It was coming for a while, but I woke up one day and I was like, this is the last day. And that was that. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He left within 2 or 3 days. He was out of the house, and we've communicated since then. We're helping each other financially, like clean up stuff or whatever. But unfortunately, I had the advantage because I have so many different hustles and things that I've accomplished. But I think that my business and my goals shouldn't suffer because someone can't get their life together. So
I
it's the
will.
best way I can say it.
I will say for me, I definitely was the problem, but also the problem is that, I just couldn't be honest in my own marriage anymore. And I couldn't be honest in my own music anymore because the truth was I didn't love her anymore. So hurt me to say it. I get a little wistful about it myself, but I wasn't going to be able to live the way I wanted to live, or at least live a life that was going to be healthful, if I didn't get out of the situation. And I'm glad that yours was amicable. I think that's what everybody should hope for. As you've heard on my previous record, it didn't
Yeah.
have that way, and we don't talk anymore. So
Well, this is my third rodeo, so like it
really,
hasn't all. Yes, and what's funny is I talk about it sometimes on stage, and I had one guy shout out to me. He's like, "Can I be the next contestant at the show?" It was hilarious.
by the way, I stand by that. It was a great show. And
Can I be the next contestant? I'm like, line it up. You too may
take a
have an
number.
opportunity, yeah, to ruin your life with me. But no, I think what I learned, and I would say from what you've said, and you kind of asked me if it was okay to talk about this, and I shied away from it a little bit just to protect my ex. I mean, I still care about him and love him and am concerned for him, and we communicate. But the thing is if you have a situation with a friend or a family member or anybody that is inhibiting your ability to love yourself and to give yourself the best, like if you're suffering at the expense of someone else's issues, and they're not trying to fix them, and they're just kind of laying in a hole, and you're saying, hey, let me help you out, all you gotta do is sit up and I can pull you out, and they're not trying to get out of the hole, you can't allow them to drown you with them in 2 feet of water. You can't.
That's
I
why I
had to
don't
do it.
blame her for leaving anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's good that you take ownership of your part in it. No marriage or partnership or friendship is one-sided. I mean, not completely. There's always something, traumas and stuff that comes in from the past, ways that you handle things, but ultimately you have to love yourself because no one is perfect. No one is without mistakes, and I'm sure there are things I could have maybe done better, but I gave it my best. And I knew at some point at the end, I was like, I have given it my all. I have done everything I know how to do. I've examined everything, and I realized that even though it felt like an epiphanal, I just got up one morning and was like, I need a divorce. No, it wasn't like that. It was 2 years.
mm,
It was 2 years
yeah.
of sobriety, 2 years of health, going heavily into getting help with I have chronic illnesses and stuff that I had to map out, and chronic pain that I had to figure out with all of my healthcare providers that I had been dealing with silently for years. And once I started fixing those things, then I started realizing, you know what? All of these things are being fixed, but that still is not getting fixed. So I took away,
Yeah.
I felt like I've done everything I can do to make myself be the best version of myself. And it's the elephant in the room, and I don't know what to do anymore. So I'm not
I
going to sit here and lay in it,
yeah.
you know?
One thing that I learned in my recovery, and I'm sure that you learned in yours, is to play the tape through. I knew my wife too long to know that if my ex-wife too long to know that there was no changing that. So when she walked away,
Yeah.
I let her walk. So and I think that, again, you've already got volunteers. If that is something you want to explore again, I don't recommend it, but I do know that
Well,
that
I'm
the
in a
happiness is not too
relationship.
far away from you.
I'm in a relationship right now, and it's going well, it's all, but I think we're probably being the most honest about what we want at this point. And um his name I'll kind of keep out of it or whatever, but he's doing a really good job of a lot of self-evaluation, and he's never been married, but he's got kids, and he's been in long-term relationships, and we're just kind of taking it one day at a time. And he knows what I want, and I know what he wants, and he's everybody's got to pitch in. When everybody pitches in and is honest, then it makes it a lot easier. And sometimes those conversations are hard to have, but you got to have them, and that way there's no ambiguity and there's no gray areas, because I don't want to live my life miserable anymore. I got shit to do.
Agreed. And here's a fun thing. Here's a fun thing about being honest. I'm finding in my relationships these days, they don't run away as fast as you think they are. If you tell the truth, sometimes you find it's they're willing to work with you on that sort of thing. And last thing I will say on any of the subject of our personal life, he'd have to be a good man to wind up with you. So I congratulate you on that, and I'm glad you're happy in where you are right now. This is the part of the program that every guest should enjoy the most, Jenn Ford. It is time for shameless self promotion. We obviously the management deal is going to put you all over the country. Can we keep track of your dates? Where can we find your music? And when can we expect some new music out of you? Fire away.
Okay, well, look on bevelmusic.com. That's where all my dates are going to be, for sure. Any confirmed dates, it's BEVILL music.com, or you can look on jennford.com, JENNFORD.com, and find me all over Facebook. I'm easy to find. Big blonde hair with a lot of attitude. You'll find me. I'll be there.
A lot of attitude, a lot of soul, a lot in all of the right places, and I'm talking musically, of course. Jenn Ford, thank you so much once again for joining me here today on the Craig-Veltri interview.
Love you so much.
Love you too. The Craig-Veltri interview, where Craig-Veltri interviews wonderful people, is a production of Scarfire Media, the voice of the independent artist, written and edited by Craig-Veltri. Your announcer is Megan Pennington. The opening theme, Shut Up, I Love You, written by Trenton Chandler and Craig-Veltri, performed by Craig-Veltri, produced by Jack Gavin. The new single, Saving Up Dreams, is available now on all streaming. Megan Pennington, myself, aka the Moonshine Vagabonds, will be appearing on the Grassroots Show with Bob Cupp and Utah Burgess on Butler Radio coming up in the second week of November. Keep it locked to the space for when that episode will drop. Also, please visit our store on bonfire.com to get all of your Scarfire Media / Craig Veltri interview merchandise. Time now to update the event calendar because you must know where I am at all times. Friday, October 10th, Sea Captain's House, Myrtle Beach. That's it for this week. For full dates, including Charlotte, Canton, Ohio, Nashville, and Memphis, visit my website, craig-veltri.bandzoogle.com for booking info, including full band in this podcast. Email me at craig-veltri@gmail.com. You can find the interview on Facebook by searching the Craig Veltri interview, YouTube at Craig Veltri Music, and you can find me on Instagram, or as my old roommate, the Tommy Thomas, used to call it, Instagirl at craig.veltri. For Jenn Ford, I'm Craig Veltri, and this has been the Craig Veltri interview. With that, I'll pass. Off of the album Americana Radio, here is Jenn Ford with the cover of the Soundgarden classic Black Hole Sun, here on the Craig Veltri interview, proud member of the Scarfire Media Podcast Network.
In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows, hides the face, lies a snake, and the sun in my disgrace, boiling heat, summer stench, neath the black sky looks dead. Call my name through the cream, and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, too long for snakes in my shoes, walking sleep in my youth. I pray to keep heaven sent hell away. No one sings like you anymore. Black hole sun, won't you come till you all just disappear like old side.